So today we've got an interview with one of my students, Aaron, who we helped scale from 10K a month to over 70K. I think it was 73K a month in just over 4 months, which is absolutely crazy. Last month, he got 22 clients in a single month, adding over like 50K in MRR in a single month, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm just going for a cruise on my e-bike right now along the beach on the Gold Coast. Bit of a gloomy day, but if you're sick of being stuck at below 50K per month with your agency and you're ready to scale aggressively, one, you're gonna get a ton of value from this interview, but two, this is something that we've gotten down to an absolute science. I have done this time and time and time again with many other agency owners. I've done it for my own agency. There is zero guesswork involved when you've already done it many times before. And so if you're wanting a fast track to scale your agency very, very rapidly, I'm going to leave the link down below to schedule a one-on-one call with me if you want my help directly to install these types of systems so you can get more clients than you could possibly handle on demand whenever you want, so that your client acquisition problem is solved forever. Otherwise, enjoy the interview. I'm just going to skirt off here. There's some homeless people on the beach. They've set up tents. Just going to do a little drive-by. What's going on, everyone? So today we're speaking with Aaron, who's a fellow Aussie agency owner. Always like speaking with the other Australian agency owners. There's a lot less of us. And so today we're going to be talking about how Aaron went from about like 10, 11K a month to over 70K a month in about 4 months. Was it 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, I'll say it was 4 months. I think I joined up in August. I think
Yeah,
that was when I started with you.
yeah, absolutely. And going to be kind of shedding some light on, last month was one of your biggest months. We had a call the other day and you said you got 22 clients in a single month, which I was pretty surprised to hear, which is a pretty crazy number. Obviously, in the agency space, everyone loves talking about how do you get clients, how do you get clients, how do you scale client acquisition. So I'm sure everyone would be interested in hearing how you managed to make that happen. And then just in general, kind of revealing and talking about what it really takes to make it in the current agency landscape. Because I think there's a lot of things that's changed. I think there's a lot of outdated content creators and YouTubers out there that kind of just recycle the stuff that was working in the kind of early days of the agency space. And so I want to kind of touch on what's working in the current landscape. If you don't know who I am, my name's Liam Casey. I've been in the trenches of the agency game since about 2018. I scaled my agency Reliable Leads to over $3 million, worked with hundreds of clients, specifically in the real estate niche. We mostly did a seller lead generation service. And in general, I stand by the fact that I think running a lead gen agency is one of the most reliable and profitable businesses in one of the most reliable and profitable online business models in the space right now. And about like early this year, I decided that I really wanted to focus on making education in this industry affordable and accessible to everyone, which is why I launched the One Main Agency book, shameless plug, a few months ago. And that's been very well received in the industry already, and hundreds of people have checked it out. To date, I've helped create over 50 another person buying it just there. To date, I've helped create over 50 high multi six figure agencies and over 10 7-figure agencies. And Aaron, you're not too far off getting to that 7-figure run rate either. So let's get into it. I want to kind of like start in in the beginning, from when you were kind of first getting into the agency space. What were you doing for work before you started the agency in general?
Before I started the agency, I was working corporate. So I was actually working in corporate sales. So I was actually working at doing corporate sales. Before that, again, corporate, finished a degree, did everything. Just typical
What were you
stuff, your nine
selling
to
in corporate
five.
sales? When people tell me they do corporate sales, it's like so rare. It's like, what do you mean? Like, what are you selling?
That's a great question. I get that all the time, actually. So I actually sell CRM. So I used to work for
Yeah,
Salesforce. Salesforce, that is, these guys sell CRMs.
yeah,
Even selling, like, it's such a vague thing. Like, when someone asks, like, what is a CRM? Like, I also don't really understand how to explain it. So I was selling like software, is it in a sense?
yeah.
Was doing that for a year, but yeah, just didn't like the fact that, it was I was selling someone else's product.
Mm,
And yeah, like you put in a lot of hours and stuff, but in the end, like these guys, if you don't perform, they're gonna fire you anyway.
yeah,
From a sales perspective. So I was like, why don't I just do it for myself, given that, I'm my own business. I'm doing like 80% of what I'm doing is sales pretty much,
yeah.
I would say. So I was like, why not just do it for yourself instead? I think there's a lot more upside. I would say.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's like a common trait, not in like everyone, but like I think a lot of the people that have success in the agency space have a knack for sales or have had some kind of background in sales because yeah, I think like internal marketing and sales is probably the highest leverage income producing activities that you can focus on as an agency owner. So that's probably a big part of the reason why you've been able to have solid success and get so many clients pretty quickly. How did you like come across the agency business model in the first place, and like why did you end up kind of going all in on that as opposed to like was it like the first online business model that you took seriously? Like why the agency model?
Yeah, it was that yeah, great question. So it was like this is my first ever like online business. Like I've never really explored, to be honest, doing online businesses. Like I've always like in my mind before doing university and stuff, doing the corporate route was always something that was just the only way to make a lot of money. I
Yeah,
never knew about this space. And when you get into, working corporate and stuff, you're like, wow, this cannot be my life.
yeah,
And then you start exploring options outside. And what I actually first started off doing was selling websites. So what I used to do was after work and stuff, I used to sell websites to local businesses. So I'd find the Instagrams, find the number, and I'll just call them. And if they didn't have a website, I'll literally ask them like, do you want a website? And I think my beliefs were broken when I actually started a website. I was like, if I can sell a website like to one person, like it's just really a volume game until I make enough money to build a business of some sort. So it's just a volume. If I can sell one, I can sell many. It's
yeah,
just a matter of getting more reps in. But then doing it all manually, I was like, wait, there has to be like someone has to be able to like there's no way I have to like literally manually find it through Instagram. There has to be like a systemized way for me to do it all. And I bought my first ever online course in August 2024. Yeah,
yeah,
August 2024 was the first time I ever bought an online course. I always thought online courses were a massive scam.
yeah.
So first time I bought the course, I remember when I got the price dropped on me, I was like, there is no way I'm going to be spending this amount of money
How much
on
was
this
it?
course. 15 grand.
Yeah, shit. That's
So
not cheap.
yeah, yeah, 15 grand. But it was my first time going into it. But I remember the program
That's pretty
they were showing
ballsy
me
for your
like
first course.
it
Straight
was
into 15K.
it was crazy. It was crazy. But I had no idea what the sales process was. I didn't know anything about sales. So like at first I was like, holy crap! Like they did like, the typical sales stuff, and then they broke it down to payment plans. It was essentially 5 months of 3 grand payment. So I was like, okay, that's definitely digestible. So, and like the proof that they were showing me were like, because in my mind I had a belief that online courses were a scam. Seeing all the social proof, I was like, man, like these guys, like there's no way this all can be faked. And I
Yeah,
remember contacting one of the guys there, and took the leap of faith. I joined the course, and when you pay that much money to a course, you pay a lot of attention. That's all you're listening to, and that kind of just led me down the rabbit hole.
yeah,
So back to my previous on websites. I remember I was in the course. I was like, should I keep selling websites? And they were like, getting closer to the sale is going to make you websites are always going to be there, but the closer you get to making the client more money, like lead generation, qualifying leads on their behalf, the closer you get towards making the money, the more you can actually make.
yeah,
So I was like, oh, okay. So then that's how I then dove into Google ads, but it wasn't until I say May this year that I went into Facebook ads, Meta
yeah.
ads, because I was doing Google ads a bit for like electricians, plumbers. It was quite hard actually. I found it. And I was trying to hold out, but I was like, I'm seeing a lot of guys make a lot of money on Meta ads instead. Why don't I just try that instead? And I pivoted, and yeah, here I am.
And that was a good decision to pivot to Meta ads versus Google.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're looking at like Google ads, um, like when you're looking at cost per click and stuff like that, it's super expensive and it's crazy. And while the jobs there are profitable, like to be honest, I haven't delved in deep enough into Google ads to actually
Yeah,
know, but I just found getting when you just like kind of think of it on a high level, like if you're looking at pool builders where their average job's like 50 to 75 to 100 grand plus, I mean, it just takes them to win one job to clear a return on investment.
yeah,
And if you look at bathroom renovation, renovator, kitchen renovator, same thing. The jobs are a lot larger, and to get an ROI and to just for them to justify them paying you a consistent return every single month is a lot more feasible in their minds. Whereas Google Ads is a bit slower, I
yeah.
find. That's just my perspective, but yeah, I could be completely wrong with Google Ads part by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like that's like I don't know, a lot of people are gonna have that question when they're either in the early phase of the agency or and they're thinking, should I do Google ads or should I do Meta ads? But then it kind of comes up again when you're in later phases of your agency where it's like, should I be adding on Google ads as a service? And that's usually when I think it's better to start looking at because I found that Google ads usually has better alignment with like larger clients that have bigger budget that can afford to wait it out a bit longer and because it takes longer to optimize and it requires a little bit bigger budgets, I think it makes a lot of sense in kind of a bigger ecosystem of a strategy. But for the majority, I think it like has niche alignment. Like I think services like emergency plumbing or like locksmiths, for example, it's like that makes a lot of sense for Google because no one's waiting around for an ad to show up on their phone when they're locked out of their car. But most of the main home service niches make sense for meta ads for sure.
Yeah, I'd say I agree. Yeah, Google Ads, I feel like you have to be a bit of a ninja to do as well. It's like it's a lot more technical, I'd say. Like yeah, it's not as straightforward as I'd say Meta Ads, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And what kind of point did you reach with the agency in the early stages that gave you the confidence to go full time? Like, how did you transition from your corporate sales job into doing the agency full time? When did that happen?
Well, when I was kind of making well, I was kind of making like kind of the same amount. And once I
Yeah,
made the same amount, I was like, I'll just pull the band-aid off, just go straight into like there's no point waiting. I'm gonna quit regardless. So any extra time that I spend on my job is just going to be time that could have been spent on the business. And when you work in corporate, like your energy is split 50-50. Like you might think that's not a lot of work, but it actually is quite a bit of work because
yeah,
when you're waking up, when work pings you, that's kind of energy that you're directing towards that rather than the business. And
mm,
I think especially if business itself is already pretty exhausting. If you can just direct all your
100%.
energy towards it, then it's kind of like, yeah, the return is insane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably like one of the main big picture reasons why I got into business as well in the first place is just like feeling like you're being directly rewarded in proportion for the value and like time that you're actually putting into something. It's like at a job, you're being paid a fraction of the value that you're actually producing for that company, whereas for yourself, you get all of the upside. You get the downside as well. But if you're if you're performing well and you're a good operator, then the upside pays you very, very handsomely.
100%.
How long did it take you to get to that point where your like agency income was replacing your full-time income?
Oh man, it took me quite a while to be honest,
Yeah,
um because I was working because I was working a job beforehand. I also had a quota to hit for my other job. So trying to hit quota for both was kind of like it was a bit tough to be honest. Um, but I did reach a point where I was around 8 to 10K at one point consistently, but I was just kind of mentally just too scared to I didn't have the confidence to leave. Um, but I think it's just more so like I just mentally wrestling with myself over a couple of months, just by just yeah, just do it. I think that was the biggest thing I would say, just wrestling with myself mentally for a while. It's a couple of months, I would say 3 or 4 months
yeah,
to get myself to pull the pin because I was also gunning for a promotion at work. And once I got the promotion, I literally quit on the same day too. I was like I kind of got what I wanted and
yeah.
I just quit.
Fair enough. And I think you kind of already mentioned it, but I was going to ask, what was the niche that you first started with? So you first started with websites, kind of just like selling it to anyone, and then what were the other like when you kind of got more clear on the fact that you needed to niche down? What were the first clients that you went after?
Oh, I actually started off with I just started off everyone on pretty much everyone on Instagram who
Yeah.
just didn't have a website and who were near me. So like I come across a lot of trades people because the reason why I chose trades was because their phone number is literally on their Instagram profiles, so they're super easy to contact. Whereas
Yes.
if I try like dentists or anything like that, like dude, I'm not getting I think I scraped them on LinkedIn and I couldn't be bothered. And so I think, yeah, getting in contact with the direct business owners was super easy for me. So that's kind of why I chose them.
Yeah.
And then I went down the route of, and that kind of just, yeah, funneled me towards like gutter cleaners, window cleaners, roof cleaners, a lot of cleaners.
Yeah.
But I kind of realized that the amount of turnover they were doing weren't that high to justify paying a significant retainer.
Yeah.
So I was kind of, I was doing that for quite a bit actually, for quite a bit of time. But yeah, I was working with cleaners, Google Ads. Those were the main guys, but yeah.
Okay. Cool. And how did you get your first clients? It was just Instagram outreach, and Cold calling?
Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, Instagram outreach and just cold calling. That was pretty much how I first got it off the ground. And yeah, just like set myself like a minimum amount of dials to do each day on the list. So I'll just like go home and like I'll scrape a list. I'll put it on my Excel sheet and I'll just like call down
And
and
how
just
many
like set
calls would you
myself like
do a
a
day?
minimum.
Because I think like I think I see so many people that are in the early stages of the agency game that like really struggle getting their first clients. And I think so many people get shiny object syndrome with like trying to find kind of shortcut ways that are going to magically just like automate getting your first clients. But without fail, like everyone that ends up kind of rising to the top in the agency space, pretty much everyone just starts with just like brute force grunt work of just pick up the phone and call people. What would you kind of tell people
Oh,
about like what it actually takes with cold outreach to get your first few clients?
oh, cold call is definitely, I would say it's the, if you're comfortable on the phone, it's the easiest way, I think, to connect with business owners. If they can just hear your confidence over the phone, then it's a lot easier, I would say. I think cold call is definitely the hardest. Or actually, yeah, in terms of like the energy it takes to do cold calls, it's
Yeah,
definitely takes a lot. But if you're comfortable on the phone and you know that, I think it's kind of plays to your strength, in my opinion. But yeah, that's kind of what I think. It takes
yeah.
a lot, but
How
there are
can you
definitely
get?
better ways now to do it.
What was that? Sorry.
There are definitely better ways to do it, though. I think more efficient ways.
What do you think
I
are
think I
more
haven't took
efficient
the
ways? Like, what if you had to go back in
like
time? Would you
the
do something different?
yeah. I mean, like if you have an income, like figure out how to run paid ads. I would say it's the first thing is that if you have money coming in, like if you're running like a 9 to 5 job, I'd say like if you have income, any sort of income, like just run paid ads. Like you're gonna have to learn it anyway, and you acquire customers a lot quicker. Um, But yeah, if you cold call, you naturally you just develop like like a thicker skin anyway. But if I would do it again and I knew I mean, I was gaining income, I'll just run paid ads from the get go, which will save you a
Yeah,
lot of time,
yeah.
scale a lot quicker.
I agree, but I know that like most people won't actually do that because people have so much like lack of confidence in like they don't know if like the niche that they're going after in the early stages is even the right one, and
Mm,
then they don't know they don't feel confident they can get client results. But it's kind of a bit of a chicken before the egg scenario because it's like, well,
true.
you're not going to figure out which niche is good until you run more until you like actually start having sales calls and start speaking to people, and you're not going to know if you like you're not going to figure out client acquisition client fulfillment until you get more clients and just start testing things. Like some agencies that I've worked with recently that are kind of like in the early stages or trying to like figure out their next niche, one of the things that I got them to do was just create like create 5 to 6 different offers, calling out 5 to 6 different client avatars, and just run it all on like $100 a day. And then just within like 4 to 5 days, it's very obvious because you can see which ads are getting the cheapest cost per lead, which naturally tells you what the market's receptive to and what has less
Hmm.
competition. And you just like lean into that and start there. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's ironic because our entire business model is selling other businesses on running paid ads to get clients for themselves, but most agency owners put it off for way too long and just avoid running paid ads for themselves.
Yeah, I think it's a sales confidence thing. I mean, now that you bring it up, I think you're completely like valid on that, saying that. Yeah, the reason why I didn't run paid ads before because I was not confident with the service and I was not willing to risk money. When you're first starting off as well, you're not willing to risk the money as well. So yeah, I think yeah, definitely.
Yeah. At what point in the agency did you feel like you had your first kind of taste of success, like that first kind of aha moment, or you're like, all right, I could be onto something here?
Mm, I think September. I think it was the first time I think I like hit my record month for that month, which
Yeah.
was at the time like 20K a month.
Yeah.
It's my first time running like paid ads, and I think I invested only like I was spending like $50 a day on that paid ads as well. So
Yeah.
not even that much. I think that was like, oh yeah, that was the first time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And before we started working together, like what were the main problems that you had after that you were looking for help with? Like you paid 15 grand to work with this other agency. It sounded like they gave you a lot of
Mm.
clarity on like sell lead gen instead of websites. got a bit of a momentum, but like what were the main things that you were needing help with when you came to me?
Not, nothing agency specific. So it wasn't anything. So the course I was in before August, which I was in a year for, it wasn't very agency specific.
Oh,
It was
okay.
more so around mindset, client acquisition, cold outreach, all that stuff. But it
Got
was
it.
never nothing ever cl very agency specific. Like they had agency specific information in there, but it was from a long, long time ago. It wasn't
Yeah.
as I'll say as relevant as to right now.
Yeah.
And when you need like direct information and quick feedback loops, that was kind of what I was looking for
Yeah.
because you spend time trying to figure it out yourself. I was like, oh well, why don't I just kind of just pay someone just to tell me directly what to do based on their experience and just compress the learning, the time to learn.
100%. Yeah. You either pay with time or money in business. Mosey
Definitely.
calls it ignorance tax.
Yep, I
Yeah.
can really agree with that.
And I guess, now that you've kind of gone from, like that 10, 11K per month to, hitting 70K a month recently, what's been some of the biggest like lessons and breakthroughs that you've had that you wish you knew when you first started out?
Um, Probably running paid ads sooner was probably the
Yeah.
biggest one. Running paid ads sooner. Um, and just like understanding that you're not going to deliver amazing results for every single client, and you can try your absolute hardest, and sometimes it's just not going to work out. And I think just in the long term, when dealing with clients, you're going to you just learn how to deal with people. I think just ultimately that's what we're dealing with in terms of like the agency game. We're just in a people's business, really.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing, we're not building like a rocket ship or anything. We're just doing marketing for local services. That being said, like I used to come in with the expectation that every client that I work with should get amazing results.
Yes.
But you kind of come to terms with that, like, hey, there are some people who you may try really, really hard for that you just won't get results for,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And it's just kind of being okay with that, but also using those situations to get better, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really, really important one. And I think the process that a lot of agency owners go through is you hold a belief that it should be possible to get every client result. And it's not just accepting the fact that you're not going to get everyone results. It's that you shouldn't be able to get everyone results and you can't because not everyone is an ideal business owner to work with and they don't have the existing circumstances that mean that you could actually have a positive impact on their business. And it's not always because you lack the skills or the strategy or there's some missing link. It's that maybe they're not a client that you should have worked with in the first place and it's actually a sales constraint issue and you need to have a more predictable sales process so that you can afford to turn more
Mm-hmm.
people away. And that was
Mm-hmm.
a huge lesson that I learned. Obviously, there's like practical things that you need to dig into and that like yeah you never stop improving your service delivery, but it's a balance between where do you draw the line from what problems do we solve for clients or what problems don't we solve, because you can't run someone else's business for them. You're not there to solve every problem. You can't teach them to be a better business owner at the end of the day.
Mm.
You're there to just do marketing for them.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, just coming to terms with that. Um, and just realizing that you can try hard for a lot of clients and a lot of them won't like it. Just deal with sometimes maybe clients who are harder to deal with, which is part of the game. But
Yeah,
I think those hard clients is kind of what makes you grow ultimately.
100%. Now, you said that one of your biggest kind of lessons that you wish you did sooner was run paid ads, but you obviously haven't just run paid ads. You've done it very, very profitably. Like, what do you think is some of like the ingredients to make paid ads work? Because when we had our last call, you had some ridiculous return on ad spend. Is like what even was it? It was like close to like 15 or 18 or something like that. Um, had like about a $350 customer acquisition cost. Obviously, it's a big learning curve from like when you start paid ads for the first time. It doesn't just work straight out of the gate. There's a fair bit of iteration.
Mm.
What's been some of the kind of lessons and kind of tactical things that you figured out to make paid ads work to get clients?
Well, I just run my ads for lead form. To be honest, I don't remember the landing page. I remember when I first joined, I tried to like implement like the landing page and stuff, and I was like, it's gonna take me too. Like, I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna like get scrappy with it. run
Yeah.
lead forms, high volume. I'm going to call every single lead so many times. It was a volume thing. So for me, I don't really care about qualification, to be honest. If they had money to pay me, I was going to take them on because I was kind of
Yeah.
in that position. So my my thought process behind that was just again, the quicker you acquire clients, the more you can learn because every client, whether they work out, they don't work out, you're going to learn something from it and you're going to go through the process anyway. So if they had money to pay me, I'll run their ads anyway. Worst case, you refund them. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Um, Best case, I mean, a lot of my clients like wouldn't fit my normal, qualification criteria, but I've gotten amazing results and they're still my clients today. So I think it's just taking the risk, like even with like, or sorry, I digress. Going back to the question, um, my strategy was just volume.
Yeah.
Just have volume, get as much flow through the funnel as possible, and call every lead. Call every lead two, three times. Follow up with them. If they had no show, call them two, three times. They're gonna know you're pretty serious if you hammer them pretty hard. And then yeah, just pretty much what the strategy I use for my cold calling, except for paid ads.
Yeah.
Just kind of brute forcing it. But I think yeah, as you level up, you definitely want to have some sort of qualification process, some better sales assets. Because right now mine's a complete mess, to be honest. It's not nearly as optimized as it could be. I definitely am aware of that, but I'm just like at the moment it's just not a major priority at the moment. But definitely I need to dial that in.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point though, is because I think the way that a lot of content out there or like other kind of gurus will talk about running paid ads is that it's like the automated way to get clients. It's like you just turn on ads and you just sales calls just show up on your calendar when that's not the case at all. Like the most kind of dialed in operations, like the majority of your sales calls end up getting scheduled off the back of the active appointment setting off the back of paid ads. It's like, yeah, you're going to get,
Mm,
a decent amount of people that schedule in directly on your calendar, but there's so much money in like aggressively working all of the leads that you're generating through. And like when I first started running paid ads for my agency, I did a funnel structure where none of the leads actually even had the option to book in a call on my calendar. They were just filling out like a long form application. And then it was like a team will be in touch. And then I just brought on an appointment setter and they called every single lead. And I kind of did that at the time to kind of create a bit of exclusivity and separation where you had to like get approved to actually jump on a call. Whereas as opposed to just giving them the option, not that I think that that's like a better strategy. That's just what I did at the time. And yeah, like 100% of our calls came off the back of active appointment setting. So is there any like hacks in terms of because when you're doing outbound appointment setting, you get a mixed bag of people where some people don't want to speak to you at all. Some people were just like casually interested. Are there any kind of tactical strategies that you've got in terms of doing the appointment setting well, like outbound appointment setting through paid ads, like how to objection handle, how to kind of move through a call to get more sales calls booked?
Well, I came like when I was working at my previous corporate role, I was actually inbound appointment setter. So I was already appointment setting already. So I kind of had that previous experience. But I would say the biggest thing is that you're selling the next call. You're selling the sales call. You're not selling the actual pitch. So that is what I would say is the biggest thing is that when you're trying to get these guys on an appointment with you guys, or you're trying to get them on a sales call, you're selling the conversation, not the actual end product itself. And
What does
yeah,
that
just
look
holding.
like?
I
How
think
do you do that?
I think, but one big thing is holding frame. So one thing
Mm,
that you get a lot is because they're filling these ads out all the time. Is they're going to try and push you around on the call. They're going to try to ask you what you do. Just tell me the price, X, Y, yada yada yada. It's kind of like a dance. You kind of have a conversation. You kind of play around, and then your goal is to get them on the call. Well, you don't reveal exactly what you do. You can high level reveal what you do, but you get them curious enough to obviously jump on the call. But you also don't want to go too deep in the appointment setting call because that just kind of defeats the purpose of the sales call. So you kind of just get enough, kind of play the touch on each point, and then you just kind of sell how potentially you can help them. And
yeah,
it's super important that they are coming to you for a problem. Yeah, I think the big one is they are coming to you for a problem. And just holding that frame that you're not going to them for a business, going to them for business, they're coming to you for a solution. And that's one big thing.
yeah, 100%. I think that's super, super valuable. How do you like those are definitely the most common objections that come up in the appointment setting calls. It's just like, oh, can you just like just how much is it? Or oh, can you send me an email? Or oh, I just wanted to see what you guys do. What's some of the main objection handles that you use to go overcome those?
Oh. Price is like, well, I can't give you a price if I don't know kind of what you're after, and I don't even know if I can even help you. Just as an example, like you're trying to
Yeah,
frame it as if until I understand what you actually need, it doesn't make sense for me to tell you what it's going to cost because that's all dependent. I'll say that's one big one. And I think just always reframing the questions, always reframing yourself as authority on the call, that you are busy all the time, you are helping businesses like them all the time, and that your time is just as valuable as theirs. If they take a half an hour, 45 minutes on your calendar, that is time that can be spending doing something else.
yeah,
And you're not going to just give away that time. And you're only allowing like qualified people through and people who you know you can actually help. That makes sense. That's kind of there's no like real straight strategy, but I think that mindset definitely helps in terms of the fact that they clicked on the ad because they have a problem to solve.
yeah. No, and that's a very big difference because I know that I made that mistake in the early stages, and I think a lot of people do when you're you're actively trying to grow your business. You're probably in a state of scarcity. You've got uncertainty. You're trying to get to the next level, and so naturally you're not holding a frame of abundance and authority, and you don't feel like that. You've got a bit of an imposter syndrome, and so it's hard to
Hmm.
kind of manufacture that state of mind. But that's what you have to do. You kind of have to just like form those beliefs and and hold that frame exactly like you said, because it's true. And then once the business gets going more, you kind of naturally have that, but there's kind of a point in
Yeah.
time where you have to have a bit of delusional optimism and kind of just pretend like, oh, my calendar's booked, I'm working with like clients all over the world, like and but having that, yeah, like having that confidence is really what makes the difference.
I agree. Completely agree
Yeah.
on that.
Cool. And how important has it been, like, as you've been scaling with paid ads, testing different client avatars? Because I know that, like, it's during the time that we've been working together, I've noticed that changed a lot and done a lot of testing. And I think, a common piece of advice that goes around is, niche down. You have to niche down. But yeah, how important has it been for you, kind of being nimble and like kind of persevering and just like kind of failing on the go, like having trial and error to try to figure out like which niches to focus on and target,
How have I tried? Is that what you asked? Sorry.
or just like
Like how?
how important has it been, and like and yeah, how have you thought about kind of like testing different niches and client avatars?
Yeah, definitely. I've tested different avatars niches. I think you just learn a lot when you just speak to different types of people in the niche, which is I think overall quite beneficial. You just get more of the lingo, you get more kind of what people are like. I think it's just overall beneficial in terms of, especially in Australia and New Zealand, maybe the market is also a lot smaller too.
Yeah,
That it's beneficial to try different niches, sub niches, adjacent niches, because you just learn a lot overall about the industry. You learn the lingo. I think overall, you just learn to deal with different types of people and the different types of services that are offered. I think that's been super invaluable, I would say.
100%. And now that you've kind of like recently come off the back of having a really solid revenue month, how's your kind of perspective changed towards the business since like hitting revenue numbers that you previously might have put on a pedestal, or were like, I don't know, I feel like people really idolize like 10, 20, 30, all those kind of like 10K increments of revenue. How's your kind of perspective changed towards the business?
I would say definitely like it just like the goalposts just keep moving.
Yep.
Like you just end up you just end up just getting you just need more and more and you just also realize that you can't really stop. Like you kind of like take a holiday for like a month or like 2 weeks unless until you officially like you go through the phase of hiring and even the hiring process itself, it's massive learning curve, new level, new devil. It's like yeah, you think like you'll make it after like hitting big months, but like that lasts for like 2, 3 days and then you just got like a whole bunch of other problems now. Got to fulfill, you've got to put out fires, and then that's draining. And then now I'm like a massive. I need you need to focus on like now I'm at a level I need to focus on hiring, and I have no idea how to hire as well.
Yep.
So going through this phase is yeah, I don't feel any that much different to when I was doing like numbers that the 10, 20, 30 numbers that kind of feel the same. The goalposts just keep moving,
Yeah.
especially kind of based on where you want to go, I would
Yeah.
say.
100%. Yeah. I feel like the stage that I got to in my agency when it felt like I had like kind of bought back my freedom, and it was like I'd like arrived at like the version of the agency that I'd like initially thought it was going to be like was when I had like a full-time closer and appointment setter, and
Mm.
I had someone that was entirely responsible for client fulfillment and they were client facing as well. Because then that meant that I wasn't involved in the sales process. I wasn't speaking to anyone that was coming into the business. And then I never spoke to them when they were clients either. Like I never spoke to any clients. And when you're like removed from ever speaking to clients, not being involved in sales, and you're just doing team meetings and just focusing on like improving the product, like overseeing things, managing your own internal ads, like focusing on content and building marketing assets, that's the stage when it's pretty smooth. I'm not saying it's smooth sailing, but like you claim back, it's so much less stressful, and you claim back a lot more freedom as the founder, a lot more flexibility.
Mhm.
Whereas when you're in that kind of in between kind of one man show, one man agency phase, yeah, like you're super profitable, but you're maxed out. You're working a lot, and yeah, I think that that's kind of like a tipping point that you kind of have to decide. Like, do you want to just like stay working really hard and like stay around like 50, 60K a month, but be really, really profitable, or get to that next hump where you're making similar profit, but a lot more freedom, and you're at like 80 to 100K a month.
Exactly, yeah. Definitely want to get to a point where you're working less, and that's why we all did this business because freedom ultimately, but this is
Yeah.
part of the journey. And
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah.
exactly. And the question that I had was like, since you've been, in the game longer, kind of like honing in on the on home services, trade service niches, has there been any kind of like tactical strategies that you've learned in terms of service delivery and client fulfillment that have like made a big impact on your client results?
Not really. I think a lot of it is just browsing, like browsing the meta library,
Yeah,
ad library, seeing what other people are running, replicating what they're doing, and then putting your sort of your own twist on it. That's one big thing. Um, I'll say that's the yeah biggest one. I mean, when you operate in the industry for quite a while, you kind of understand what is working, what's not working. That plays your advantage when you've been in it for a bit of time,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. What about like back end like lead conversion systems? Is there anything that you've tested or
Mm.
done recently that is helping clients convert more projects on the back end?
To be completely honest, no. And it is something that I want to work on, like ASAP. Like definitely, I want to improve my product and service. But at the moment, I'm kind of bottlenecked. But I
Yeah,
know that it is something that you're going to have to do further down the line because to stand out, build a moat around an agency, you need to have some sort of differentiating factor. Otherwise, you're just like a lead gen company. Um, so definitely on the way, I would say.
yeah, absolutely. And lastly, like if you were kind of speaking to kind of an early stage business owner, either someone like, just getting into it, trying to get to their first 10K a month, or like someone that's trying to hit their kind of next big leap of growth, what's like some of the main piece of advice that you would tell them that they should be focusing on, or what they should be spending their time on?
I think definitely if you're early on, definitely just spend a lot of time in the business. Just don't really do anything else. Just focus on the business. Pay someone to teach you how to do it.
Yeah,
And yeah, just follow through. Like building an agency is a very like we're not like building a rocket ship. We're doing like very simple things in a way, but it's just mentally sometimes it's a bit tough because when you have clients who are not happy, you're dealing with ups and downs, and it's more so a mental battle to be completely honest.
yeah.
Like what we're doing itself is not like something super technical. It's just a matter
It's
of
simple but not easy, like Murphy would say.
no, it's not exactly, yeah, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's like trying to lose weight. It's like you just eat less, run more, and just lose weight, but it's not that easy
Yeah,
to execute on. But yeah, definitely that was probably what I'll say.
yeah. Awesome, man. Cool. Well, I feel like we've covered a good range of topics. Is there anything else that you wanted to chat about or give to the fellow agency owners out there?
No, but probably just keep going, man. I say keep going. It's gonna be hard, but that's why you see people like Lamb, other people out there who make it out because it's hard. It's not easy. Not agency model seems easy. Like whilst from like a it's easy. It is easy to like. Sorry, it's not technically hard, but the reason why people simply quit is because it does get really hard. But if you make it over those humps, then you can accomplish quite a bit. I'd say. Just don't give up, I would say.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Appreciate your time, Aaron. Hope everyone watching this got some value from today's session. That's it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Peace.